Hello, my name is Antoine, and today I'm with Yanai Sayag. He's a mental performance coach. First of all, thank you for being here. And can you a little bit tell about yourself and about what is a mental performance coach?
Antoine, thank you so much for having me today. So excited to be here and talk about mental performance and goal setting. And so mental performance coach is pretty much like being a trainer for your body, but here we're training our mind. And when athletes, the elite level athletes, are all training their mind to become the best version of themselves. So just like you go to the gym and work on your leg power, you work on acceleration, deceleration, injury prevention, same goes to our mind. And we don't just create mindset out of the blue. We need to work, we need to practice those skills. So when we get to play under pressure, we know what to do. We have those mental skills that help us to get us to where we want to be. So
Okay.
that's the short brief of what mental performance is.
Okay. Sounds very interesting. Um, Today I wanted to ask you like few questions about goal setting. So I have players that like they coming to me and they tell me, listen, coach, I want to score next game 2 goals. I want to maybe an assist, and I see a lot of pressure and like big goals, and big pressure. So basically, can you explain the concept of goal setting and why it's important?
Absolutely. So goals supposed to help us, right? Just coming from your question, seems like some of the players set their goals and those goals put too much pressure on them, which at the end of the day doesn't really help their performance. So we got to be very intentional about the way we set goals because we want to be setting goals that help us, right? We don't just set goals to set goals, we set goals because we want to get somewhere. So overall goal is where we want to get, right? That's the destination.
Yeah.
And before we get to talk about goal setting today, let's talk about why we even want to set goals. And when I think about goals, I think there is a very useful analogy. If you think about a family that's driving from St. Louis, Missouri to Orlando, Florida, they go to Disney. Wonderful. Going for a family vacation. Two kids are sitting in the back seat, and, and brother and sister. And on the way there, the brother is just asking, "Are we there yet? Hey, mom, are we there yet? Hey, dad, are we there yet?" On the other hand, his sister is sitting there observing the view from the window. She's enjoying the view. She likes what she sees. She sees new cars. She sees new views. After 10 or 12 hours, I don't know how far St. Louis is from Orlando, both kids and the whole family get to Orlando all together. What's the difference here? They have different paths on the way to Orlando, right? They're sitting in the same car, actually, but they saw the way much differently. When one kid was just waiting to get there and just ask, "Are we there yet?" and was so impatient, his sister was enjoying the way. So
Yeah.
when we think about goals, we also want to think about the way we get to the destination and not just about the destination itself. So
Hmm.
it's just to set the ground for where goals come from.
Okay.
Now, if we think about the way we want to get there, and we think about getting there to the destination, getting there to scoring 2 goals to the end game, getting there to winning a championship, getting there, getting a full scholarship in college, Division 1, right? All those are destinations, but there are many ways to get to the same destination. So when we think about goals, we also want to be very intentional about the way we want to get to those goals. And that's a long conversation, and we came to talk about goal setting today. But just to get us started, I want to get us thinking about these ways to get to the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting analogy. And I'm curious, so how today, like a soccer player is hearing what you said, how he is applying it to his situation.
So let's take, for example, the player you said who sets a goal to score 2 goals in the game on Saturday. Okay, that's the goal. Now, the main question I'll ask him is, to what degree you can control this outcome, right? That's an outcome, scoring 2 goals. And I might even ask this player to draw 2 circles, where within the inner circle, I would ask the player to describe everything he can control in 100%. And in the outer circle, I'll ask the player to describe anything that is contributing toward this goal, but he can control in 100%. And now our goal in setting our goals is to focus on the process, to focus on the things we can control in 100%. We can't control the defense, we can't control the other team, we can't control the referee, we cannot control the weather either.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that are under this player's control that as long as they're able to focus their mind on those things, they give themselves the best chances to get to this goal. At the end of the day, there is no 100%. There is no 100%. There is no certainty they will get those two goals, but their best way to get there is by focusing on what they can control. And that's a long-lasting cliche in sports psychology. Focus on what you can control, but it's always come back to it.
Yeah. So let's focus on the things that we can control. So what are like the things that a player can control? Because yes, the referees, the weather, and the other things that you mentioned you cannot control. But what are the things you think players can control?
Right. So that's very individualized. Some players, and it's more important what the player believes about themselves. But at the end of the day, a player can always control their preparation, their personal preparation. Whether the game gets delayed because of a thunderstorm, you can control that, but you can always control how you apply your mindset toward the circumstances, right? So we know soccer is an unexpected game and things always happen. But once the player is focused on their mindset, on their actions, on the specific actions they can do. So let's say I'm a winger, I'm a right winger. The specific actions I can commit to during the game are making 15 runs behind the defensive line, making the dangerous run my coach wants me to do. Every time the left winger gets the ball, making the run inside the box so I can be there for a second ball, or even the cross that goes beyond the left back of the other team. Those are specific actions that as a right winger I can set for myself. I can set myself those very specific goals, those process goals, what you described as the process. Trust the process.
Yeah.
Those very specific process goals that I can always control and I can always make sure I can do them, right?
Yeah.
Then when I finish the game and I assess my success, I don't assess my success just based on whether I scored 2 goals or not. So it's not a zero-sum game anymore. Now there are more levels of assessment for my performance. And we can talk more about it in the next few minutes, but
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious like you to expand on this topic, and like also like one thing that like I'm curious about is more about like, for example, set a clear number, that like this game you need like 7 runs or like 10 runs, like, so like I want you to expand like on those areas of like why it's important like to set like exact number.
Right. And there is no one right way to set goals, just to start with that. And the classic term is SMART goals. SMART goals, if you've heard of it before, is goals that are specific, goals that are measurable, goals that are achievable, goals that are relevant, and goals that are time-bound, or they're related to time in some way.
Yeah.
So when we think about those goals, can be long-term, medium-term, or short-term, right? There is no one specific way it applies. So yeah, the specificity of the goal is what you refer to. Also the measurability, to what degree I can measure if I achieve it or not. If I just tell myself, my goal for today's game is to play good, how can I tell if I did it or not? I can feel like I played well. My coach think I played pretty bad. Who's right? Right? So you want to set very specific, measurable goals that I can tell when I finish the game, okay, I did those 15 runs. That's what I needed to do. And maybe I did everything I could and it wasn't enough. So for the next game, now I know. I did these 15 runs. I got only 2 balls. Next game, I got to do 30 runs in 90 minutes. And then I try again. I try 30 runs. I see now, oh, now I get 5 balls. Okay, so maybe I get to get 5 balls for a dangerous position. I got to make this run 30 times in a game. 25 out of these 30 times, I'm not going to get the ball. but I still gotta commit to this number because I know that's what I need to do in order to be successful.
Okay. And what are like the things maybe you experience as a soccer player, or you um, as a coach, like what are the things that you feel most of the players like struggling the most?
I think many young players I saw were struggling with focusing too much on the outcome. It's very tempting. Sorry, it's very tempting to focus on the outcome, right? Because it's the easiest thing to measure. We talk about measuring something. How many goals are scored today? That's the easiest thing to measure. It's also the easiest thing to tell people about. Oh, I scored 2 goals today. Very easy to say, okay, I scored 2 goals means I had a successful game.
Yeah.
That's not always the case, as we know. I've personally had games that I scored a goal or had 2 assists, but I didn't have a good game overall. I didn't feel well about my game, and I'm sure you can relate as well.
Yeah.
So I think the being obsessed with the outcome is actually what's gonna shift your attention from the actions you want to take in order to get to the outcome. And as a result, by focusing on the outcome, you actually give yourself lower chances of getting there. By focusing,
Okay.
right, there is the sentence eyes on the prize. That's cool. I think it's cool to put it as the Instagram caption or something like that when you post something on your story. In reality, eyes on the prize can be a distraction. Eyes should be where my feet are. I want to be where my feet are. I want to be present in this moment, in this action I gotta take right now. That's where goals can be very helpful in helping us getting our attention to where it needs to be.
Okay. Okay. That sound right. Sounds right. And anything that like coaches or especially parents can do better or like help to their like kid or son or daughter to to achieve those goals, or like helping them with the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm not a parenting coach, so it's hard to talk for the parenting side of it. I think parents always try to do the best for their kids. And but as many parents would tell you, they sometimes feel like they put too much pressure on their kids. So I think one thing parents can do in terms of goal setting with their kids is helping them set uh, goals that are productive for their kid. And that looks
Yeah.
different between kids, right? So it's all about trial and error and helping the kids set goals that are not just about the outcome. You can set goals that are also about things. It's okay to set goals about the outcome, right?
Yeah.
So if a kid wants to score 10 goals during the season, that's a great goal. Exactly. It gives you a sense of direction, like we started. Give you a sense of direction, give you an aim, you know where you're going. That's great. But how are you gonna get there? And
Yeah.
that's the crucial piece that many people miss. So I think parents with their outsider perspective, sorry, with their outsider perspective can help a lot to the kid, can give them a different perspective. And again, I think the parent's job is to unconditionally love their kid and to always support them. And even if they don't achieve the goal at the end of the game, supporting them and being there for them. And there's kind of like the famous phrase, the car ride on the way home after the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
right? And that's where the kid is looking for approval from a parent. That's where the kid is looking for like, oh, am I still worthy of love and belonging, even though I didn't achieve the goal? And
Hmm.
every parent should keep in mind that in this moment, absolutely, I should be there for my kid. And I think all parents think that way, but in the moment, you want to be there for them as the athlete, but you forget about the kid. And
Yeah.
so that's on the
Yeah.
parent side. On the coaching side, I think it's much more complicated, right? Because as a coach, you take care of 20, sometimes 30 kids at the same time. So it's hard to give the personal touch to every single kid. But I think coaches can be there and coaches can emphasize the process-oriented goals in many
Yeah.
things they do on a daily basis. And it's not just about talking about it, but it's also about the way they structure practice, the way they structure the game. Talk about not being obsessed with results. So that's definitely the way coaches communicate to the team, such as, hey guys, we lost today 1-0, but you guys completely followed our game plan. You guys worked your butts off. You guys did everything you could, and I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yeah.
So it's also the incentives we give, kind of like the things we give positive comments on. Yeah, I appreciate your effort today. I really like the way you did X, Y, Z, and not necessarily just, hey, Antoine, good job today for scoring this goal.
Yeah.
That looks different.
Yeah. Yeah. I've like, so I'm coaching 2015s, which is 9, 10 years old. And it's funny because they always has asking me like in the halftime or like, in between, what is the score or like, are we winning? And like I always tell them like I don't even know, but I don't really care. Like I care more about like do your thing, work hard, and everything will be all right, because I'm sure you also know that, but like you don't remember if you won a game at age 9 or at age 11 if you won 2-0, 4-0. So that's for sure like not the main focus,
Yeah.
especially the young ages.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is a beauty for it too, right? When you're 9 year old, I don't know if you remember, but when I was a 9 year old and I played a game, for me, this was Champions League final. For me, this was the most important game ever. And I
Yeah,
think there is a beauty to it too. I don't
yeah,
think we need to completely ruin the magic of childhood and just tell
yeah,
them, look, I don't think the way to go is to tell them, don't worry about the game. It's not about the game. It's just about the effort because it is about the game. We can't deny that.
yeah.
Everyone wants to win. It feels good to win. So I think as coaches, we always need to find the balance there. And I really
Hmm.
appreciate you saying that because I wish more coaches were leaning toward the side of focusing on the effort and not on the result, right? There would
Yeah,
be a better world to live in or a
yeah.
better sporting culture. And I'm curious to hear from you. Did you have any interactions with parents that were over obsessed with results or with the outcome?
Um, I had like few parents that they were more, yeah, they were like they wanted their kid to score more goals, which makes sense, They, for example, if the player, like if the kid is a striker and is not scoring, so that's kind of like a problem. But yeah, like those little things of like, oh, like he wants like more assists, more like goals, like those things that we actually talked about and covered. Um, but I don't have like too many parents that are like too obsessed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there is nothing wrong with being obsessed with results. Again, those parents want the best for their kids. Those parents want their kids to develop, they want their kids to grow, they want them to become the best soccer players they can ever be. I think that's
Yeah,
beautiful. I have nothing bad to say to those parents. I think they should be thinking about the way they talk to their kids and how it's affecting their mental game. If those goals, like you started to talk about in the beginning, if those goals put pressure on their kid that actually deteriorate their performance,
yeah,
perhaps the way we look at goals should be different.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you.
And
Anything else that we don't know about setting goals or we should know about how to set goals, like in general?
yeah, I think we talked mainly about goals for a specific game, which is kind of like the weekend, the highlight of the week, right? We work hard all week to get to the weekend and perform as best as we can.
Yeah,
And And when we talk about the process, obviously, you as a coach know that the week and practices are just as important, and the work you put in during the week is what come into life in the game on the weekend. So just keeping in mind that even though we talk today about specifically about goals, specific goals for a game and how to set up process goals for the game, we can also set goals for the week and goals for the season. So this can look differently based on the part of the season and based on the specific goals, the length of the season, of course.
hmm
But there can always be more effective goals for an individual player or for a team based on their needs.
hmm Okay, so we have weekly goals, we have the yearly goals. Um, do we have more than year? Like, are we setting sometimes goals that are like more than 1 year?
Perhaps, yeah. Olympic athlete would set goals for an Olympic cycle. So the Olympic athlete who just competed in Paris and plan on competing in LA in 2028. start planning now for the next 4 years. They start planning their competition, they start planning their practices. When do they go hard? When do they slow down in terms of practice? So yeah, sometimes it can look different. I would say a common way to look at it is a season-wide goal setting,
Yeah.
but absolutely it can look differently for different sports.
Okay.
In
Okay.
terms of population you work with, I believe most athletes should be setting goals for the season.
For the season.
So the outcome goals, as we said, are necessary to set the stage, and then what I need to do in order to get there. Those are the
Okay.
process goals.
So outcome and then the process goals of how we are achieving those goals.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
We can talk about performance goals too, which are the ones in the middle, the ones we have some control over, but not total control over. But
Okay.
I want to keep it simple and focus on the process, focus on the things that are 100% are under our control. And then I believe once we do those things, we will get to the outcome goals, or we
Okay.
will give ourselves the best chances to get there.
And the performance goals are?
Performance goals are generally something we can control to a certain degree, but we can't completely control. So, for example, having 10 shots on target during the game. It's not an outcome goal because it's not completely an outcome, but it's a performance goal because there is an element of performance and I can control it. Maybe I'm not going to get 10 chances to shoot. So
Yeah.
that's a process goal, but not an outcome goal. It's
Yeah.
something.
Also, sometimes depends against which team you're playing. Maybe the other team is way better than yours, and then you're more defending. But yeah, at least you have like something in your mind of, okay, to them, I want to shoot like 5 times, 5 times on target. One of them might be a goal, you know? So yeah, the
Yeah.
performance. Do you have like any other examples to performance goals?
Performance goal for a defender would be having committing 10 successful tackles during the game. Maybe a defender is not going to have a chance for 10 successful tackles. Maybe their positioning is great this game. They don't even need to commit a tackle because they just get to the ball way before the attacker.
Mhm.
So again, those goals are something that can be helpful. It's not that we should completely ignore them, but by focusing on the process, by focusing on the things we can control fully, that's where the performance goal will naturally occur on the way to achieving those outcome goals.
Okay. Okay. Well, interesting.
Yeah,
Very,
anything
very.
else? Anything else you find the athletes that you work with that are struggling with in terms of setting goals or in terms of committing to achieving those goals?
I think we're all set. I think we
Mhm.
covered like a lot today, and yeah, it was really really interesting. Um, where people can find you, and I.
Yeah, so you can put my email in the show notes captions if you'd like to. People can reach out to me on phone, on email, on Instagram. So feel free to reach out if you ever care about mental performance, if you want to take the mental performance to the next stage. And it was a pleasure to talk to you, Antoine, as always. I hope to be back
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you so much.